Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4 on this Monday. Eric Franke is in for Susan Simon, who's on vacation this week. Good to see you.
Good to be here as well.
Just took a look outside. Wow.
Yeah. Hopefully your car windows were up at work if you were there.
Apparently, my trunk popped open, and this
I hooked you up,
young man shut it for me.
I made sure you didn't have any bodies in the trunk, and then I shut the trunk for him.
That is wise. We'll get to the weather in a minute.
It's coming down.
Yep. But first, here's what's making news this Monday. More developments in the story involving UW wide receiver Quintus Cephas and his decision to step back from playing on the field to defend himself in court. Melissa Kim will be here with what charges he's facing.
Yeah, some developing news there. And the Pope and Madison's bishop addressed the Catholic Church's position on the alleged abuse by priests in Pennsylvania.
And some incredible video as a father and son describe their attempt to escape a forest fire in Montana.
Some unbelievable video there. But as we mentioned, the rain really coming down at this hour on the west side.
And we have a first alert day. We have an alert day out there because of all the rain. Let's take a look outside. This is before the real heavy rain began. Just a little dew or something this morning. But weather words, flash flood watch. And Chris Reese is over in the Weather Center with the latest on this.
That's right. We are tracking some of the heavy rain outside. I want to go ahead and start you with a look at the Edgewater Skycam. That's what you see as you look outside. So it is a very torrential downpour that we do have going on right now at this very moment. That's going to keep going for a while. Here's a live look at our studio. Some heavy rain coming down there as well. Temperatures as you get ready to head out are in the low 70s and upper 60s in some spots due to that rain-cooled air coming down. But here's a live look right now. Lots of showers and thunderstorms. One tornado warning in Iowa. That is not expected to impact us right now. For now, it is the very heavy rain that we are tracking in through the Madison area that has a lot of lightning embedded with that as well. And we've been tracking these showers and thunderstorms moving through over the past 3 hours, intensifying as they work their way from south to north. That's over the past 500 miles. You can really see the spin of a region of low pressure that we have right around here. Winds coming out of the south and east around that low, and essentially we're going to see kind of these showers and thunderstorms following that behavior as we go through the next 3 hours. So do be prepared for a very wet commute and a lot of heavy rain. We do have a flash flood watch in effect. That flash flood watch going to go through tomorrow morning. That's also why we have the alert day due to the threat of some severe storms along with some localized flooding. Let's go ahead and hit you with traffic right now, and it is, as expected, at a crawl. It's going to continue to be at a crawl with that very heavy rain coming through. Here in a few minutes, guys, we'll update you guys with a full weather forecast and what we can expect overnight and into your Tuesday, along with additional updates and traffic later in the show.
All right, Chris, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. First at 4, Badgers wide receiver Quintus Cephas will be facing felony charges in Dane County Court on Thursday morning.
Our Melissa Kim has been following this story since it broke on Saturday afternoon and joins us with the very latest. What is he facing, Melissa?
Well, guys, according to court records now, Cephas is facing 2 charges, one on third-degree sexual assault and another second-degree sexual assault of an intoxicated victim. Both of those are felonies. Now, Madison police releasing a statement today saying that officers met with a woman in the emergency room in April who said she was the victim of sexual assault. She said it took place in his apartment and identified Cephas. Now, police say Cephas was cooperative when they talked to him, but during their investigation, police say another victim came forward to say she was also the victim of a sexual assault by Cephas. Now, the Badgers wide receiver announcing on Saturday that he would take a forced leave of absence from the football team because he was facing what he called quote-unquote unspecified charges from the Dane County District Attorney's Office. Now, in his statement posted on Twitter Saturday, Cephas said that he had been wrongfully accused of unlawful conduct and was innocent of any allegations associated with this consensual relationship. Now, the team did practice today. I spoke to wide receiver A.J. Taylor afterwards. He, along with other players on the team, voiced their support for their fellow teammate.
We're definitely a very close group of receivers. Like, we all love each other. But with it, yeah, I mean, we're all going to support each other. You, Danny, Ken, we're all going to support each other, and we're just going to come together and work even harder.
Now, Cephas spent the last 5 games of last season recovering from a broken leg that happened at Indiana last year. His return to the field was a highly anticipated one. He led the team in touchdown catches last year. And guys, the Badgers open their season in 11 days now against Western Kentucky on August 31st. We'll, of course, continue to follow this story.
All right, breaking news at this time. Melissa, thank you.
Thank you.
Pennsylvania's top law enforcement official says he hopes the state's Roman Catholic leaders will accept a grand jury report into sexual abuse of children by priests following a letter to the faithful from Pope Francis. Attorney General Josh Shapiro says the letter the Pope sent Monday, quote, acknowledges the painful truth. In an open letter to the world's 1.2 billion Catholics, Pope Francis admits the church, quote, abandoned the little ones and vows to heal the pain caused by the crimes and atrocities of a clergy sex abuse crises in several countries. The letter follows a grand jury report last week in Pennsylvania that found 301 priests had sexually abused at least 1,000 children over the past 70 years.
Pope Francis says greater accountability is needed urgently, not only for those who committed these crimes, but also for those who covered them up, which in many cases means bishops.
Pope Francis is expected to address the scandal again this week at the World Meeting of Families in Ireland. Madison Bishop Robert Morlino also released a letter over the weekend addressing the issue in his own words. While he acknowledges there is a sexual abuse problem in our country, he attributes it to being homosexual, saying, quote, it is time to admit that there is a homosexual subculture within the hierarchy of the Catholic Church that is wreaking great devastation in the vineyard of the Lord. If you'll permit me, what the church needs now is more hatred, end quote. He was not available for an on-camera interview to elaborate, but a spokesperson said people have, quote, cherry-picked portions to fit their agenda or claim the bishop is saying something he is not, end quote. We will hear from LGBTQ activists on how they interpret the letter coming up tonight at 5 and 6.
President Trump took time today to thank the men and women of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The celebration comes as the agency and the administration have come under fire over child detentions and family separations at the border to Mexico. Angelica Alvarez reports from the White House.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
President Trump praised 150 ICE officers, border agents, and law enforcement officials at the White House.
We love you. We support you.
Monday's event was called a salute to the heroes, with the president paying tribute to border agents and highlighting their work.
Among those arrested was a high-ranking MS-13 gang member who has 4 prior convictions for rape and federal warrant for felony assault with a deadly weapon. Bad, bad person.
A panel of federal immigration officials say in the last decade, drug smuggling in the southwest border has grown, and the need for more enforcement at the border is high.
We've got tremendous support for investing in additional wall, investing in technology, investing in technology for the ports of entry to be able to put more vehicles through systems where we can identify threats, and also our most valuable resource, our men and women.
Recently, the focus has been on the Trump administration's separation of migrant children from their parents after crossing the border illegally from Mexico to the U.S.
Last month, some Democrats pushed for legislation that would get rid of ICE.
We will not stand for the vile smears, the hateful attacks, and the vicious assaults on the courageous men and women of ICE.
It's a bill that would likely die in a Republican-controlled House, but one that still gained a lot of attention in protests and rallies around the nation. The administration was court-ordered to reunite more than 2,000 children separated by July 26th. But last week, the Department of Health and Human Services said 565 children are still in U.S. custody. Angelica Alvarez, CBS News, the White House.
And members of both sides of the aisle have said that immigration will likely be a driving push for voters in the midterm elections this fall. Well, a liberal attack group is raising new questions today about Governor Scott Walker's use of a state plane.
They're pointing out an increase in miles flown since the governor ran for president. Political reporter Jess Garb joins us here to give us some perspective. Jess?
Well, yeah, this group is essentially arguing that the governor used the state planes to fly around the state to rehab his image. His administration is pushing back on that tonight, saying the travel shows the governor's commitment to meeting with people across Wisconsin. Liberal advocacy group One Wisconsin now rolling out the report it put together today at the state capitol. Their report says the governor used the state airplane to make 869 flights since he dropped out of the presidential race in September 2015, ultimately costing taxpayers more than $818,000.
After 25 years in office, 8 years in the governor's mansion, and running for president where billionaires were flying him literally around the world on their private planes, Scott Walker no longer has the slogan, "I'm the brown bag guy." Scott Walker's new slogan is, "I'll fly, you buy."
Some of those flights were short. 11 of them were trips less than 64 miles. In a statement, the governor's press secretary called the report a, quote, gross mischaracterization of Governor Walker's dedication to visiting with the people of Wisconsin, and pointed out some of the trips were for funerals, disaster area visits, and meetings at schools. You can see that full statement from his press secretary there. For some perspective here, during his first term, the governor averaged about $250,000 in flight costs. If you look at the annual average during this time period, it's now about $316,000 a year. This isn't the first time the governor's travel has come up. The last time the issue was raised in 2014, his administration pointed to plane use by Governor Jim Doyle, who averaged then about $240,000 a year.
It is an election year.
That's right.
Jessica, thank you.
Thanks, Jess. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh continued paying courtesy calls to senators on Capitol Hill as he courts votes for his confirmation. Kavanaugh met with California Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein. In a memo released today in Washington, Kavanaugh suggested that attorneys preparing to question President Bill Clinton in 1998 seek graphic details about the president's sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky. Kavanaugh was in the office of the independent counsel at the time and said in an August 1998 memo that it is, quote, our job to make his pattern of revolting behavior clear, piece by painful piece.
On Wall Street, optimism over renewed trade talks between China and the U.S. had a positive effect on investors. The Dow Industrials added 89 points, closing at 25,758. The Nasdaq Composite Index was up 4.5, and the S&P 500 gained nearly 7. New evacuations are underway as firefighters race to contain a fast-moving Montana wildfire.
And some amazing new video shows a man and his father's desperate attempt to escape the flames last week.
I think we can drive through this. What? Holy bacon sh**. You can't see. Just go easy now. Easy.
Dad, the car's heating up. It's gonna explode.
We're all right.
Oh, Jesus, God, help us.
A pretty frightening video there, surrounded by the towering flames. Justin Bilton and his father frantically tried to escape. Bilton says he feared for his life as the dark smoke made seeing the road nearly impossible. A fallen tree blocked their one way out.
Good, you're doing good. Oh my God.
Dad, we can't get out.
Once we got to that downed tree, you know, my heart just dropped, and that's when I thought we were dead. I thought there was no way we could back up through what we had just come through.
Bilton did put the car in reverse, driving back to their lakeside campsite where they flagged down a boat. The car was destroyed in the fire. Neither Justin nor his father amazingly suffered any injuries from that incident.
That is,
isn't that something?
It's incredible.
Pretty scary.
Lucky they're alive.
Indeed. Still to come at 4, we head to the movies with our film critic, Will Loper.
He'll tell us what he thinks of the movie everybody's talking about, Crazy Rich Asians. That's when Live at 4 continues.
At Harker
Nick you're dating is Nick Young?
Yeah, you guys know them or something?
They're just the biggest developers in all of Singapore.
These people aren't just rich, they're crazy rich.
Oh, you really should have told me that you're like the Prince William of Asia.
That's ridiculous. Much more of a Harry. Mom, this is Rachel Chu.
She just thinks you're some, like, unrefined banana.
No. Those are a few fingers.
Yellow on the outside or white on the inside.
I really admire you. It takes guts coming all the way over here, facing Nick's family. I know this much. You will never be enough.
And that was a clip from Crazy Rich Asians, one of the newest movies to hit theaters. It's the first Hollywood film in 25 years to feature an Asian-led cast. Is it worth seeing? Here to let us know is our film critic, Will Loper. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Crazy Rich Asian. At first, I thought I was a little offended by the title of this, but no reason to be.
Oh, no, not at all. And they are certainly crazy and rich in the movie, and Asian as well. It may not reinvent the romantic comedy, but hey, this movie does pack a lot of funny and genuine heartfelt moments, as well as signifying a long overdue step forward for Asian representation in Hollywood. So Constance Wu, she stars as Rachel, who's asked by her boyfriend to go meet his family in Singapore. When she arrives, she realizes he's insanely rich and the most sought-after bachelor in the country. Now Nick is expected to take over the family company, and his mother views Rachel as someone who will take him away from his duties, as well as simply not being good enough for her son. Now the film is about two people who want to be together, but find impossible obstacles in their way. Now, the hurdles don't feel arbitrary or fluffy as they do in some romantic comedies. Instead, they're very real. Who doesn't feel immense pressure to gain the approval of the in-laws? And being the first Hollywood film, as we said, in 25 years to feature an all-Asian-led cast, this isn't the panacea to Hollywood's Asia representation problems, but it is a very important step forward to bringing more diverse stories to theaters. And since it performed extremely well at the box office, Hollywood can't use any excuse not to bring more representative movies out.
It looks well made.
Oh, it's absolutely well made. It's polished. The acting is terrific. The writing is good.
And you do hope that at some point we'd come to the point in society where this wouldn't be a big deal that it's an all-Asian cast.
Exactly. It's sort of been written online, why does this have to be in this day and age? This is the first Asian movie of this, and same with like Black Panther, where this is the first black superhero movie, and it's 2018, and we're finally reaching this point. But hopefully, with movies like this, we can get to that point where it's not such a big issue when these movies come out.
A good movie's a good movie.
A good movie, yeah, and this definitely is a good movie.
What's the rating?
Hey, this one, 3.8. Awkwafina is out of 5. She is one of the standout actresses in the film. Definitely steals every scene she's in.
It looks great. I can't wait to see it.
Yes, you should.
All right, next week.
Next week, we are switching gears with the Happy Time Murders, Melissa McCarthy and R-rated Muppets.
What?
Have you seen trailers for this?
No, I haven't.
I hope it's good, but...
With Melissa, you know...
Melissa McCarthy!
It's hit and miss with her sometimes.
It is. You're absolutely right, but...
Happy Time Murders.
Swearing Muppets, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, well, have a good week. We'll see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
And coming up a little later today, are you feeling stressed out? Well, turns out donkeys are the perfect beast to help you unburden. That's coming up after a soggy weather forecast. Take a look at this. Over 200 people turned out for the British Beard and Moustache Championships in Blackpool, England over the weekend. The event, now in its 4th year, has 21 different categories, including Amish whaler beard, sideburns, chops, and freestyle. This year's competitors came from over 11 different countries, including Norway, the U.S., and the United Kingdom, including reigning world record sideburn champ Michael Wallage.
It's pretty impressive right there, huh?
Now, Chris, now you got a little beard going. You could have to grow a little more.
Let it grow a little bit.
That's going to be a struggle. It doesn't grow much. So, yeah.
Well, you're young.
You're still young. Well, it is Monday, August 20th. It is World Mosquito Day. It was on this day, 1897, when a British doctor discovered that the female mosquito can transmit malaria between people.
Oh, what a celebration.
It's time to party.
Well, let's celebrate something else then. It's also National Radio Day, celebrating a great invention and communications medium. My grandpa was actually a radio DJ.
Really?
Yep, and I hear you and me did some in college.
Just about everybody, I think, dabbles in it. I saw a lot of friends on Facebook today that are in radio celebrating National Radio Announcer Day.
You saw it on the internet, not the radio.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear it on the radio. I didn't hear about it on the radio.
It's National Cupcake Day.
We got plenty here.
They started showing up in recipes in 1796 in England and were called light cake to bake in small teacups. That goes right off the tongue. They're called patty cakes in Australia, and many early cupcakes were savory, covered in lard or gravy.
Well,
sounds healthy. A little different flavor back then.
This is what you need, just one little
tiny
bite.
little sweet cupcakes.
All right.
The weather out there today is not sweet.
Absolutely not. We've been tracking some very heavy rain coming on. So far, no severe thunderstorms or whatnot, but places have gotten inches of rain so far. Look at that. Your full forecast coming up next. Good afternoon. Today is indeed an alert day for showers and thunderstorms coming into the area, along with the potential for some localized flooding and flash flooding, just like what we saw on Friday. In fact, we do have flash flood watches. Those go from the lakeshore of Milwaukee all the way back towards the Mississippi River Valley. And here's how things are going to shape up. Those storms are starting. We'll have scattered storms going really into tomorrow, and that's where we're going to see that localized threat for some flash flooding in play as well. As these storms get started, right now we're in the onset of these. You'll have the potential for some gusty, damaging winds at times, or an isolated and brief spin-up tornado. Think of what happened in Deerfield a couple weeks ago. It would be something like that, not necessarily a long-lived violent tornado, but we've seen some spin-ups across portions of Iowa, and right now we do have a 1 out of 5. This is a marginal risk for severe weather for Madison, and essentially points to the south and back through northeastern Iowa, where we actually did see that spin up not too long ago. But this is where we have been tracking a lot of those showers and thunderstorms coming out of the south and essentially working their way towards the north, and then eventually kind of working their way back to the west from the north and east. So that's what we are going to be tracking. Let's zoom in on Madison right now. We've got some pretty heavy showers around in the immediate area. Some very heavy rain falling over the Dane County region. Back towards Iowa, that's where we do have that tornado warning that's going to go until 4:30. So we're still keeping an eye on that one as it's working its way to the north. But as we go through the next 3 hours, we'll continue to see rounds of showers and thunderstorms slowly working their way through here. That is the reason that we'll have to watch for that potential for flash flooding. There's a lot of juice in the atmosphere that could really come down. Here's the Edgewater right now. We are seeing the rainfall continue to fall at very intense rates right now. Some radar estimates across southern Dane County have already shown 2 inches of rain in the last hour. There have been some reports out near Monroe where they've seen 1.5 inches of rain in the past hour or so. So it's raining. It's also cool with that rain, 69 degrees right now. Wind starting to take on more of a northeasterly look as that region of low pressure passes through. But you see where that rain is falling with these cooler temperatures, 69 here in Madison, Mineral Point at 70, Platteville at 70, but we're a bit warmer where it's not raining across the north, where you have some temperatures that are into the upper 70s. But here's the cloud cover really associated with that. You can almost see the swirl of the region of low pressure over Iowa and these showers, or these clouds blossoming as these showers and thunderstorms began to develop as we've gone through the past 3 hours. We're still watching that. Here's the winds wrapping in around that low right over southern Iowa right now. We are kind of on the warm side of that. You have your region of low pressure. Here's the winds coming out of the south and eventually turning over the northeast. We do have a stationary front across the northern tier of Wisconsin, but this region of low pressure essentially will continue to track to the north and east. As it does so, bringing those wraparound winds that will keep things a little bit cooler, but that will also keep the clouds around and some chances for some showers and cloud cover lingering into Tuesday. Eventually, high pressure comes out of Canada. That's going to keep things cooler with a northwesterly wind, but that keeps more sunshine around, especially as we get you towards the middle of the week. But we'll really have to watch just how much rain a lot of people see around here. Essentially, it's going to be localized rainfall totals that can really get hefty in a lot of places. Tonight, expect a lot of that heavy rain around, scattered showers, and again, we can't rule out the potential of a strong thunderstorm or two. Tomorrow, 74 degrees, breezy and cooler with that chance of showers lingering. The sunshine returns as we get you towards Wednesday. That's where temperatures will be right around 75, 77 on Thursday. The next chance of rain comes into the picture on Friday. We'll have highs in the 70s then. That's a warm front with 80s returning by the weekend and next week.
We can hear the rain on the roof here.
You can. There's actually a roof leak. I was just in the hallway. There's a little bit of a roof leak coming in, so that rain is pouring.
Here's the backyard, the patio here. It's coming down.
Yes, it is.
This almost has a feel of a winter storm.
It is, and oddly enough, this is the track of a winter storm as well. You have the winds wrapping around out of the north. If this were December or even November, we'd be talking very heavy snow with the way this setup is slated for us right now.
That's months away.
We'll have
Yes,
Steve,
it is.
We'll have Steve go out and fix the roof leak. Get a bucket under
During
there.
a commercial break here. All right, Chris, be careful heading out.
Will do.
It's raining out there.
Thanks, Chris. In most of the world, donkeys are beasts of burden.
But at one park in upstate New York, the donkeys are there to help you relax, unburden, if you will.
Joe, donkeys are smart, not stubborn.
Come on, Flint. Good boy.
They can kick, but are calm by nature.
So says Steve Stiers, keeper of Donkey Park. It's a haven for donkeys and a place to interact with animals that Stiers says are underappreciated.
They're great stress sponges. You can sit down in here and you know, escape your office life, your urban life. We get a lot of people come up from the city, travel long distances, and when they come out, you can just see the stress melting away from them.
The nonprofit park north of New York City is home to 11 full-size and miniature donkeys and one zebra donkey mix called a zonkey. The animals travel to schools and nursing homes.
Even walk them a little bit around here.
The small park also hosts groups like this one from a local organization that serves people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
It calms me down, relaxes me.
Donkeys remain work animals in much of the world. Popular culture portrays them as gloomy or as comic relief. They might seem stubborn to some.
Oh.
Stiers says it's a bum rap for a thoughtful animal.
The problem is with donkeys is we expect them as beasts of burden to do what we want them to do. When we call a cat and a cat doesn't come, we don't say stupid, stubborn cat. We just say, oh, that's a cat.
The retired software engineer became fascinated with the animals when his daughter was studying to be a veterinarian.
Phoebe. Good.
He bought his first donkeys in 2012.
Excellent. Okay.
Good job.
Donkey Park relies on volunteers like Patty Lundgren, who says the animals are gentle.
I figured I might get kicked, because you see the cartoon donkeys kicking, but that hasn't happened to me.
Come on, jump.
Offering an unlikely type of animal therapy among the donkeys. Who knew about the donkeys?
Oh, sweet little animals,
Therapeutic,
huh?
yes.
They are.
Really smart, too.
Very nice. Coming up, a family in Texas was involved in a car crash that left 2 kids in the back seat in critical condition.
How a simple fix that would have cost the car maker $1 would have prevented those injuries. That's when Live at 4 continues. Here's a live look at downtown Madison, sort of.
We need a wiper on that thing.
Edgewater. You can almost see the Capitol. Rain coming down in southern Wisconsin.
It has been busy out there. A civil jury in Texas found clear and convincing evidence of gross negligence by Toyota, the parent company of Lexus.
The verdict of more than $242 million stems from a 2016 crash where two parents slammed into their two young children in the back seats.
As Chris Van Cleve reports, internal documents show the cost to fix the problem would have been about $1 per seat.
Our children are hurt forever, but we can't imagine this happening to any other families.
Ben and Christy Rivas were stopped in traffic on a Dallas area expressway on the way home from church in September of 2016. Their two kids, 3-year-old Owen and 5-year-old Emily, in the back seat in their car seats when an SUV slammed into the back of their 2002 Lexus sedan at 45 miles an hour. As this crash test simulating the collision and used during the trial shows, the front seats collapsed, sending Ben and Christy headfirst into their own children. Both kids suffered lasting traumatic brain injuries.
Traumatic brain injury is devastating. We have no idea what's coming.
In a statement, Toyota says it respects the jury's more than $242 million verdict, but remains confident that the injuries sustained were the result of factors specific to this very severe collision, not a defect in the design or manufacturing.
The jury understood that the only way you were going to get any movement here was to get Toyota's attention and the other car makers. Toyota testified in this matter that they had known since the 80s.
Attorney Frank Branson showed the jury parts of our CBS News investigation, including this 2016 report where a jury awarded the Rivera family more than $124 million for a similar crash that left their son with brain damage.
I'm angry that I feel like we were never given a chance to make the decision for ourselves. I wish I had have seen that piece 6 months before our accident happened, because I would have started asking questions about my own car.
Our investigation identified more than 100 cases where seatback collapses resulted in serious injuries or death, mostly to children in the back seat. But seats in cars meet or exceed federal standards for seat strength that date back to 1967, standards even a banquet chair can pass.
200.
Still, car makers and regulators have known about the potential of collapses for decades.
It's time to step forward, step up, stand up, make a decision. This is unacceptable.
Because of our investigation, several members of Congress have called on NHTSA to change the seatback strength standard. The agency has consistently maintained it lacks sufficient evidence to take action, but has also acknowledged seatback collapse is likely underreported. Still, NHTSA recommends the back seat as the safest place for kids. Toyota tells CBS News it is still considering its next step in this case. We were not able to reach NHTSA over the weekend. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Washington.
That is disturbing video.
It is.
You don't even think that's going to happen.
Right. That's unbelievable. It is time to get your medical questions answered. Dr. Zorba Pastor taking your calls, 270-9933.
Zorba is standing by at his clinic in Oregon. Hi, Zorba. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about playing with your kids. It's as important as reading to your kids.
Traffic is a mess right now already. Lots of heavy rain coming down outside. Many slowdowns can be seen as well. Those brake lights are going to be going in both directions. Let's go ahead and look at the map. Lots of spots only moving anywhere between 6 miles per hour at Verona Road all the way up towards 12 and 19 miles per hour between Verona Road and John Nolan. So do expect those delays and pack some patience as you begin to head home. As we work our way downtown, several brake lights showing up. Those are on Willie Street towards 151 in East Washington, going away from the Capitol there. We go over towards Oland and Regent Street. You're going to find a lot of brake lights there as well. Zooming out and showing you all of Dane County. Yes, Madison is the worst place, but we do have some additional brake lights showing up on the interstate with a lot of the heavy rain out there as well. So headed from John Nolan to the interstate, that's going to take you about 9 minutes there. University Avenue to the interstate, that's taking you about 37 minutes at this time. Several delays are showing up with the heavy rain coming down, so use the windshield wipers, take the umbrella, and just use some patience to get home safely today, guys.
All right, Chris, yeah, everybody be careful out there. A little girl born in northern Colorado over the weekend has a pretty special birthday. Luciana Castillo, born on August 18, 2018. Lucy, as they call her, must have been waiting for her moment. The date she was born, 81818, a palindrome, of course, meaning it's the same forwards and backwards. That was just the beginning. She was born at exactly 6:18 p.m., and since hospital records do that in military time, her official birth date time, 1818 on 8/18/18. She weighed 8 pounds. Her sister, by the way, 8 years old. Lots of eights. Crazy eights.
I'd play the lottery if I were them.
Crazy eights.
Pick eights. New guidance out today calls on pediatricians to write a prescription for play and for parents to help fill that order.
You gotta have fun out there, right? The clinical report from the American Academy of Pediatrics says, quote, play is not frivolous, it is brain building. And let's check in with our doctor on call, Zorba Pastor, for a little bit more on this study. He joins us from his clinic in Oregon. He'll also be taking your calls today, 270-9933. Hi, Zorba.
Hi, good to see you guys.
So what are the benefits of play?
Well, what we have to look at is children are doing less and less play today because they're more and more stuck to their phones. All you have to do is go to any restaurant in our area and look at parents with kids, and you'll see a lot of times they're not talking to one another, but they're each in their own little cocoon looking at phones. And the studies have shown recently that as many as 30% of kids don't even go out to play during kindergarten recess. In other words, they don't even go outside and play, but they stay inside, play with their phone, or go to the corner of a lot, take their phone with them. So one of the things that we know that reading to your children is important because it builds brain power, that it makes the brains and the neurons develop. But we also now know that playing is important too. It's not just frivolous, but we learn social interaction, we learn how to communicate with other people, we learn how to use our imagination. And so pediatricians and family docs are now saying when they do well baby checks, how often does your child go out and play? So it's not just the absence of screen time, but it's the presence of play. And I think it's very important for any parent with a child to remember play is important for neurological, social, and intellectual development. And that's what this newest thing from the American Society of Pediatrics is talking about.
So it's not just physical fitness, it's maybe stimulating the mind, maybe playing a board game as a family, something together so you can develop those social skills.
Absolutely. And it's also going outside and doing stuff when the weather is nice. Hey, in Wisconsin, I mean, January through March is not great, but the other months of the year, we live in a fine time. And even January through March, just getting out and doing things and encouraging your kids to do it means they will shut off the phone. There is an off switch on the phone. Hard to believe, but there really is an off switch on the phone.
270-9933, the number to call to talk to Zorba. I assume there's also some benefits for the parents in all of this.
Of course, when your child goes out to play, you get a chance to relax and not be with your child. As the father of 4 children, I really remember that.
The interaction, when you're playing with the kids, I mean, that has to help the adults as well.
Well, the other thing is when you play with your kids, you're interacting with your children in a fun way. So when a lot of times you don't interact with them as much as you should, especially if you come home from work and you're tired. And if you play with them, you're interacting in a good way. So the answer is yes. You develop social relationships as well as helping your kids and doing fun stuff. So it's not just chores around the house.
We got open phone lines. Give us a call, 270-9933. I think we've got somebody back there clearing the phones now. Zorba, what are some of the things you like to have this time of the year? We're down to like the final 2 weeks before school starts. What are some of the things you're seeing and some of the things you like to remind parents as we get close to the beginning of the school year?
Well, first of all, I think this is the importance to make sure your immunizations are caught up, definitely for the kids, but also for the parents. There are a lot of parents who have not received the new shingles vaccine. It's out, it works, it's useful. So that's one thing. The next thing is, are you going to, especially if you have kids going to school, are you going to pack lunch or are you going to buy lunch? And if so, it's the time to think about what you're actually going to serve your kids. So it's not stuff that is loaded with salt, loaded with sugar, and loaded with fat. And the next thing to think about is, what are you going to do after school activities? So it's this time to think about dinners so that you don't just throw dinner on the table and make it frozen pizza without a salad. Now is the time to think about how you're actually going to interact in that space between work and between school and play. And this is a good time to think about it and talk about it with your kids. Those are kind of the 3 tips I would have.
You also start to adjust the sleep pattern, too. The kids can't be sleeping until 8:30 in the morning.
8:30. I got one sleeping until like 10 right now.
Really?
Yeah, and they go to bed late. You got to start, I don't know, maybe I probably should have started this 2 weeks ago, but getting them to bed earlier so they can get up earlier.
Oh, but that's it. Children need 8 to 9 hours of sleep, and especially teenagers. You may think that teenagers do not need that much sleep, but the studies have shown they grow better, they do better in school as long as they get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, and most importantly, they need a breakfast, because often they may not eat from 6 o'clock in the evening till 11 o'clock the next day when they're going to school. And so feeding your kids a nutritious breakfast is critical to building a good brain and doing well in school. Very much so.
All right, we have a call from Sarah. Hi, Sarah, what's your question? Sarah, you there?
Or is this Karen? Karen?
Karen, yes.
Hi, Karen in Wyoto. Go ahead, Karen. What's your question for Zorba?
Yes, I'd like to know. He mentioned, Dr. Zorba, Pastor just mentioned the shingles vaccine. And is there going to be some stipulations about the ages for getting that vaccine? Because I know there always has been. You had to be like 60 years old or whatever. And I just want to know if there is still that stipulation.
Well, first of all, I never answer questions about insurance because insurance changes all the time, never, ever. But many insurance companies do not cover it until the age of 60, but not all insurance companies. So get out your insurance card, call up the company, find out if the vaccine is covered.
But it's worth getting.
The vaccine is a 2-part vaccine. It's 90% effective. The old vaccine was about 60% effective. So I recommend everyone get a Shingrix. That's the name of the vaccine made by GSK. Good vaccine.
All right, we are out of time. Thanks for calling in. Calls are coming in now, of course, but we're out of time. Zorba, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Pleasure to be here, guys.
We'll be right back with the final check of your forecast. The rain is coming down.
That's right. It is absolutely coming down out there. Check out this, Madison, the bullseye right now, where we are seeing a ton of heavy rain out there. Live look from the Edgewater. You can't really see much out there, but we are still going to be tracking rounds of heavy rain going through the rest of the night. Check out northern Illinois where that new line of showers and thunderstorms is firing up. We're going to be tracking those through the night.
All right, keep an eye on things.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris. All right, tomorrow here on Live at 4, lace up your sneakers. Consumer Reports breaks down the different benefits from running versus walking.
And Angie Horkin for the Wisconsin Beef Council has some great steak recipes incorporating great fruits and veggies tomorrow on Live at 4.